Hello, my name is Cutter McCarter, and I'm here to present some key information from my research proposal paper that is about the effectiveness of stress relief methods amongst familial caregivers of dementia patients. Now, I want to start off by talking about why and how it's so taxing for family members to caregive for another family member that has dementia. A lot of the time, the loved ones of the dementia diagnosee will be the primary caretakers for them before they resort to substantial outside professional assistance. This means that not only do these family members have to witness their loved ones essentially lose themselves, but also they have to take up all of the medical responsibilities and just daily responsibilities for that person as their disease progresses. Now, family members who caregive for dementia patients are at a significantly higher risk for a decrease in mental and physical health than caring for other diseases that do not affect the brain in the way that dementia does. And because of that, there is a lot of stress that goes into that. And there are personal requirements that the person must have in order to not take care of just the dementia patient, but themselves as well. And those requirements, just to name a few, are time, a lot of time commitment, patience, and emotional intelligence. Now, though that's what's required, and like I said, there's a lot of stress that goes on in that person's life while they're caretaking for their dementia patient and also themselves. And they have to remember not to neglect themselves as well. And with so much stress, I think it's important that there be some stress reduction methods and techniques and practices that they should be able to do to help them cope with the stress of this life that they're living. I want to go over a few here. The first one is mindfulness-based stress reduction, and that is it employs mindfulness meditation to alleviate suffering and stress associated with like physical and mental disorders and stuff like that. So mindfulness-based stress reduction meditation it should be good for people in the scenario. A couple other stress reduction methods that should also be effective are diaphragmatic breathing, which involves breathing and expanding the lungs into the diaphragm rather than using the abdomen or rib cage. This is supposed to expel stress. It's a more natural way to breathe. It's a deep breathing exercise. And it's supposed to be a stress expelling, the process of it. And the last one I want to cover here is self-affirmation exercises. Now, mainly, this is used because people in these scenarios are likely going to have a more negative mindset just because of everything going on. So it's important to remember that self-affirmation exercises are mainly changing your language that you use while talking and thinking. Is a conscious effort. You have to change your language to more positive and hopeful outlooks and say phrases like I can and I will and phrases like that. Now, my point of my paper is to compare these three different stress reduction methods within this certain group of people and see which one is the most effective. Personally, my hypothesis is that familial caregivers of patients with dementia who use diaphragmatic breathing exercises as a stress reduction technique will report lower stress compared to those in the meditation/mindfulness and self-affirmation conditions. This is because research has shown that for many individuals, relaxation techniques that involve a focus on breath are more effective than other stress relief methods in improving positive feelings. Even though the participants in those studies were not in the exact situation that our participants will be, I still think that it would apply even in their specific scenario. When talking more specifically about my methods, my design, of course, the study will be a correlational research method. There will be three groups of 30, and the three measured variables will be perceived stress levels within the three groups as they correlate to mindfulness-based stress reduction / meditation, diaphragmatic breathing exercises, and self-affirmation exercises. The perceived stress scale, PSS, will be used to measure how stressed or not stressed participants feel after practicing their assigned and specific stress reduction method for a 2-week period of time. The participants, of course, they have to be family caregivers of dementia patients, and there will be 90 participants total to split up into our 3 groups evenly. For the measures, they will include a guided video instructions given to each group on how to perform their assigned stress reduction method, and an online questionnaire that participants will use at the end of the study to ask to identify what group they were a part of. The same website link will also provide a PSS questionnaire that they will be asked to fill out and submit. And in case you don't know, the perceived stress scale is an instrument psychologists use to measure one's perception of their own stress. As far as the procedure specifically will go, with each group of 30 being assigned one of the single types of stress relief methods mentioned earlier, all groups will practice their assigned stress reduction technique every day for a 2-week period using the provided instructions. At the end of that time period, each participant will be asked to fill out a questionnaire that 1. Identifies what group they were a part of, and 2. Has a PSS embedded that they can answer and submit on the website. From there, an average mean score will be calculated for each group, which the perceived most effective method will be chosen from there. Speaking of getting into the results, let's talk about it. So the results, to get them, a one-way within subjects ANOVA test will be used to compare the mean results of each group's perceived stress scale results. We are looking for the largest mean difference and the lowest score. Lower score equals less stress in the PSS. Whichever group has the lowest score will have shown that their perception was that their stress reduction method was the most effective among the 3 groups. That's what we're looking for within the study. Going on to the discussion, if the hypothesis is supported, it will show that breathing exercises are perceived to be more effective at reducing stress for people in this very specific situation, being familial caregivers of dementia patients. But if my hypothesis is not supported, that may be even more interesting because I expect the breathing exercises to be the most effective based on research. Some limitations of this study are sample size, amount of groups, the types of stress relief practices, and the access I have to participants. I'll go more into that in the future studies section in just a second. Firstly, I want to talk about why this research is important. I believe this research is important because with dementia and Alzheimer's disease being fairly common in the US, it means there are likely the same amount or maybe even more family members caring for these patients than there are dementia patients themselves. And their health is important too. Just because they have a family member going through dementia, which is, of course, a very serious disease, that doesn't mean that they should throw away their own concern for their own health just because they're caring for them. It's just as important for them to care for themselves as well as their dementia patient, which is very taxing, but, some stress relief methods, we hope to alleviate some of that stress that they carry with all of that. Now, as far as future studies for this paper, like I said, they can add more groups, one of which could be a control group. You could do a control group with no stress relief methods to see how that compares. And you could add different groups that have different stress reduction techniques as variables. And those could focus on stress reduction methods that are more physical and social based, not just mental, which is mainly what we're focusing on here. These variables are not in the study just for the sake of simplicity for the moment. But yeah, I think that is about everything I have for you. I have my references here if you are interested in reading further about these. These are only about half of the references or so that I have in my full paper. And if you would like to look at my full reference list as well as just reading more about everything I talked about here, much more in depth, please check out my paper. And for the time being, thank you for your time, and I really appreciate it.